Hello and welcome into the Eagles halftime show. I am your host, Shane Haff. I am joined by David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. David, started out not looking great for the Eagles. They couldn't even get a third down forced in the Rams' first two drives, bailed out by that Kyron Williams fumble. Shout out to Isaiah Rodgers coming in hot off the bench and forcing that. But then the defense got locked down, forced, I think it was 3 straight 3-and-outs. The offense has driven the ball and shot themselves in the foot, a couple times getting into the red zone, but they lead 13-7 at halftime. They're getting the ball back after half. This is an abbreviated halftime show because my camera wouldn't work when we tried to hop in. So what are your quick thoughts on the first half so far?
The first two drives the Rams had was basically the running game, and once they figured out how to lock that down, it's been pretty much lights out. I mean, Stafford only has 41 passing yards. He's been sacked 3 times, which I know surprises almost all of our viewers after the way we've been talking about him. He even rattled off, what did he get, a 15-yard rush on the first drive, which is like the most he's had in like 4 seasons or something crazy like that.
Stafford literally has not scrambled this season before that game.
Yeah, and then he does his longest in 4 years. So the takeaway was after the first 2 drives, Fangio stopped the run. I mean, and it's been lights out ever since. And shout out to Nakobe Dean, man. He was on top of that Isaiah Rodgers fumble that you mentioned. He's also had a sack, a TFL, a QB hit. I mean, he's playing a really good game, which is good news because Bond's been relatively quiet. I think he's only got 1 tackle the whole night.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, I mean, to me, the beginning of this game felt a lot like the Bengals game. Now, maybe that's not the best comparison because the Bengals just routinely converted third downs on their opening drive, but it felt similar in that the Eagles couldn't get a stop. And I almost am at the point of confidence in this Eagles defense that you just have to weather that early storm, because I'm getting more and more confidence week over week that Vic Fangio will find the right dials to spin after he sees what the offense is going to do. And I mean, what the McVay offense is going to be, but you never know exactly how they're going to attack. And that's kind of what we've seen in this game. And so they go 53 yards on their opening drive and a fumble, 70 yards on their second drive and a touchdown. And then they've gained a total of 3 yards on their next 3 drives. That's if you want to count the sack, actually, to end the half, they've lost 6 yards on 4 drives, but we usually exclude that end of half, only 1 play thing. But a lot of our chat wants to know right now. We're getting a lot of comments, and guys, we'll get comments on the screen a little better on the post-game show when we've got a little more time, but keep them coming here. They're jogging my memory. But David, people want to know about that sequence on that 4th down play call. What are your thoughts on the Eagles going for it on 4th down and then calling a QB run?
Going for it didn't bother me so much, but have a movement where he's running to the outside or something and just chuck it and waste the 2 seconds. I mean, I don't understand that. And if I had any negative comment to say about the first half, it was the design run plays for Jalen in general. Some of them were just really ill-advised. I mean, I don't even understand what they were doing on a couple of those plays, including that one to end the game. And quick shout out to terrible officiating. This has been just brutal, man. I mean, the fumble they don't see, the touchdown they don't see, a red flag on the field they don't see. I mean, it is crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty bad for sure. We've got Eric asking how we like the QB draws.
Not at all.
Yeah, when the Eagles go empty, it's almost always going to be a QB run, almost always. But this is a good comment, I think, right here from Chance. Says the team's ceiling is tied to the play calling, and if they can't figure that out, they won't go far enough. They can't do this against good teams. The defense is carrying this team, and I absolutely right now, the Eagles' passing game is not good enough. It's not good enough from a design standpoint or an execution standpoint. And I get that the Eagles are running the ball successfully, but so much of the time they are running the ball to set up 3rd and 4s. And that's not a place you want to live. That's specifically the place the Eagles defense tries to force opposing offenses to live, because it's really hard to continue to convert 3rd down after 3rd down. It's what I said at halftime of the Bengals game, that that first 17 play drive or whatever, you converted 5 3rd downs. You're not going to be able to do that over the course of a whole game. And so I understand the Eagles are a running team, but the Rams have given up the 4th most explosive passing plays in the NFL this season. And I get that Devontae Smith is out, but A.J. Brown's got 4 catches on 5 targets for 69 yards and a touchdown. Like, I would love to see him pushing the ball downfield a little bit here. I would love to see them throw out every play in the playbook that has a bubble screen on it and us never see those again. But the passing game has to get better. And I think if you're concerned about the second half or about the second half of the season, it does boil down to that passing game. So what do you think the Eagles, am I overly concerned about that? Should they just keep running the ball? Do they need to get this passing attack figured out? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I agree with you on everything. I think A.J. Brown hides a lot of deficiencies in that category, to be honest with you. I mean, he's making a lot of things look great, and especially with his yards after the catch. He is just terribly hard to get down after he makes a reception. Like Hurts was 5 for 5 in the first quarter, but it was for nothing. I mean, it was, they produced nothing out of it. So no, I agree with all of that. I do think they need to figure that out. It seems like they tend to do better in the second half, so I don't like to overreact much with the first half performances. Jalen has definitely proven he's a second half guy. I mean, he always dials it up better in the second half for whatever reason. And at the end of the day, he wins games doing what he does. So it's very hard to criticize it. I don't like to overreact much at halftime, especially when they're winning 13-7 and get the ball first coming out the second half.
Yeah, this is a good comment here from Brett Eclipse. Would like to see Goddard more involved. The Rams struggle against tight ends. And
it looked like they tried. They started off, but then kind of just went away from it.
He's been targeted 4 times, but only has 3 catches for 12 yards. And so it's been really short. I mean, when you look at the Eagles' drives, they really have moved the ball. The second drive, they only got 6 yards, but long field goal drive, long touchdown drive, and then the really short possession. So really, they've had 4 real drives that weren't time constrained, and they moved the ball really well on 3 of the 4. Now, I also took issue with not calling a timeout. When you sack Matthew Stafford to make it 3rd and 13, they should have immediately called that timeout. They would have had a minute or so on the clock with 2 timeouts still. So I didn't like that. Some of the game management stuff is still a little baffling to me, but regardless, they do get the ball. And I think, I said this offense would be a really good test for the Eagles defense. Cause we think this defense is really good, and the Rams have superb skill players. And I think the defense has looked really good. I'm excited to see that battle in the second half. Give me your halftime adjustments. If you were in the locker room right now, what are you preaching to the offense and or the defense?
With the offensive line, just keep doing what you're doing. Saquon, what does he have? 73 yards for 13 carries. Whatever Cooper DeJean's been doing on Cooper Kupp, keep it up. What has he got? 2 receptions for like 9 yards, something like that. He has nothing. I would say the bigger adjustments have to come from the coaching staff on the offense. They got to start doing a lot better play calling. Some of the play calls in the first half were just really strange to me. And like you said, it was almost like they designed the plays to be at 3rd and 4 a lot. And I get it because they think they can get 2 yards on 3rd down, and then they do their tush push for a yard or 2 on 4th. I get that they look at this as 4 downs, whereas most teams don't. And they are, 4 of 8 or something on 3rd down. They are pretty successful at it. The Rams are 0-3 at half. So as far as the adjustments goes, I think it's mainly on Kellen Moore's shoulders. I think that what the defense has done has been great after the first 2 drives. But I do think that the passing game, like you mentioned earlier, is something that needs to be, changed up some. And they probably should go back to Goddard or even Johnny Wilson some.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of playing for the tush push from the Eagles. Like,
agreed. Yeah.
You get to a 2nd and inches and you throw a bubble screen. There's a lot of playing for that in the end zone. So hopefully we'll see that change up. But the Eagles are back on the field, so we're going to cut this one off and get back to the game. Check out David on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. I'm at Shane Half NFL. As Saquon Barkley breaks a huge run, I'm just going to call this one live. He's at the 20, the 10. Touchdown Eagles on the first play of the second half. I've got it up on the other monitor here. Sorry, I made you miss that, David. So we're going to get out of here. You guys come back for the post-game show, and we'll celebrate what is now looking more and more like an Eagles victory. Go Birds.